Good. Intro. It's intro time. Shush. Everyone shut up. What's going on, main characters? It's your boy Talks Too Much with Third Party Studios. In today's video, we talk about our thoughts from the War of the Rohirrim as we do a spoilers review. We have a lot to say in this one. We cried, we laughed, we had fun, but all in all, we want to bring you guys good information and a good experience. So if you guys are new to the channel, please consider subscribing, share the video out there, smash the like button. If you have already seen the movie, comment below what your thoughts on the movie were. And if you haven't already, check out the merch store with the link in the description. With all that out of the way, let's get into the review. Hey, you guys have been waiting for it. Our honest review on War of the Rohirrim, the Lord of the Rings. I wouldn't call this a Lord of the Rings. Well, actually, okay. I'm being overly antagonistic, and I don't need to be. The movie's bad enough that I don't need to over-dramatize it or be hyperbolic. Okay, Cody, you're gonna have to start this one off because I can't take a rational thought at this project right off the jump without organizing my thoughts better. Peter Jackson project. They bring back in who was the
Philippa Boyens.
Yep. Yes. So they have. So it definitely has.
Oh no, she didn't. No. Well, she wrote like the outline, but she wouldn't be credited for making the screenplay.
Right. So it would be. It doesn't matter. It's
yeah.
We have a lot of recognizable names cast. Like. And a lot of people returning from the original projects from Peter Jackson. But here's my take. I'll summarize my opinion of this movie in one sentence. Peter Jackson spent all of his talent on the first trilogy. I think The Hobbit was actual dog shit. I think The Hobbit is bad. I think it's bad in every way. I think this is worse. I think this is worse than The Hobbit.
I don't know how much he has to do with this movie, but
the fact that he attached his name to it.
I think he attached his name to it because Amazon
spit on him,
ignored him completely when it came to Rings of Power. So he's like, yeah, fuck it, I'm going back to Warner Brothers.
Well, and Warner Brothers seems to be on that bandwagon too, because Warner Brothers seems to be in an IP battle with Amazon for all of this, and it also can't be ignored the fact that Warner Brothers drops like House of the Dragon through HBO right in front of Rings of Power.
I like how they get a pissing battle between those two shows. It's funny.
It is. I mean, House of the Dragon could be better. Hopefully season 3 is more exciting, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, there's a big fuck up on that.
Okay,
what is this movie? Okay, I had a lot of fun and I was bored as shit at the same time.
What was the fun part?
How dumb and ridiculous this whole fucking movie is. Dude, I was laughing my ass off through multiple parts of this movie.
Yeah,
how retarded it is.
The absolute nostalgia bait that they expected fans to like get hard for. Okay, so just to clarify before we jump into this, we are spoiling. There's no way we can have an honest conversation about this movie without completely dumping on what it is and being more upfront about it. So if you are still wanting to see this in theaters, hard not recommend. But if you guys do want to go see it in theaters, we will be getting into spoilers right now. So
yeah, now 2 out of 10 sucked ass.
This was a 1 out of 10. I hated this film. I hate this film. Yeah. I hate this movie. I hate everything about it. I don't know what there could be for redeeming qualities. Every review I've watched has given this movie somewhere in the middle, somewhere like a 5, maybe a 4, like a low end. And even the reviews that we're going to pull up on Rotten Tomatoes are pretty generous to this film. But the people I trust to review on this were singing praises about the score. I was like, dude, they just copy and pasted it. Like, it's not.
What other than the Rohan theme do you remember from music?
Nothing. Exactly. And dude, I actually have the soundtrack ambience tracks on my music playlist. Like, I listen to like Gondor, like getting hits hard, like the soundtrack for Gondor.
Ambient music.
The ambient music for Gondor hits fucking hard. The ambient music for The Shire is a classic go-to jam for just chilling. Like Rohan is just banger.
So Isengard is too much. What's your favorite album? You know the music they play during Skyrim when you're just kind of walking around.
On Skyrim.
I used to listen to that all the time.
No, so you're not going to convince me that the score in this was impressive because it's just a copy and paste with a few minor adjustments, and it wasn't even the best version of it. Like it's offset, like it's too loud at parts and too quiet at others. And at no point actually builds the scene better.
Maybe they changed it just enough where they don't have to pay Howard Shore residuals.
Fair enough.
It could be that.
It could be that. But the movie starts off with a 5-minute breakdown of who Hera is and how much you're supposed to fucking love her.
Who she is, and you'll never hear about her because you weren't supposed to hear about her.
Yeah. She's apparently this very important character canonically to the universe, and the fact that her story isn't told is a tragedy, and that's what this is so important. Dude, you're told that she's the fastest rider when all of you attribute the speed to the horse. Like, Gandalf isn't the fastest rider. Shadowfax is the fastest horse. Like, you fucking ingrates. You're just trying to come up with all the things she could be best at. She's an awesome sword fighter. She's like really smart.
I will say she's probably the fastest rider because she weighs 100 pounds less than everyone else.
Soaking wet. Dude, she fucking floats. She's like, I'm so pissed that she's like described as this like amazing heroine, and that nobody listens to her.
I'm just glad she she is a Mary Sue where she's like great at everything.
Yeah,
but she wasn't an annoying bitch of a Mary Sue. She was still like compassionate and cared about her family and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
it was like the people around her that sucked more, that just wanted to suck her feminine dick.
Everything's for her. Like everything, like we do it for her. We banish people for her. We kill people for her. We sacrifice ourselves for her. We lose Helm's Deep for her.
It's like she's a Mary Sue because everyone else around her sucks.
Yeah, we stop killing the prisoners for her. I'm so pissed at
we're gonna like jump around this movie quite a bit, but that just reminded me of that part where she gets kidnapped and throw a sack on her head, and she's free. She's completely free. Hands are free, legs are free, and she's just wearing the goddamn sack.
She's a blonde who forgot to take the sack off.
And these dumb fucks, they just leave her in that tower or whatever. Not even really a tower. It's like the second floor.
With their like military plans just hanging out.
Yeah, and don't tie her up whatsoever.
It's like,
because when she finally gets there is when she takes the sack off her head, which is, God, it's so dumb.
Well, oh my God.
You're my prisoner, but I leave you completely free to roam around and do whatever you want.
So we should build a bit of a narrative structure, like break down what happens so that we can give an idea of like where we're going to critique. So the movie starts off with
Make me relive it.
The movie starts off with her being like an epic rider, and she's following the eagles. And the eagles have to be.
I didn't even realize they were the actual like big ass eagles, because the scale in this movie is just wild.
It's insane. So yeah, she goes and tries to tame an eagle by giving it like a big fucking turkey leg.
She pulls out a turkey leg. That was the first laugh I had. What the fuck is that?
That was a funny moment for sure. Throws it 300 feet into the air for the eagle to catch it.
Oh yeah, she's amazing at shot put too, by the way.
And then she can't tame the eagle. Like, it's too wild and beautiful of a creature for her to tame. But she saw it, and that's what's magic. So then she goes back, and then there's like this whole big like event that's gonna happen where they called a meeting of all the people, of all the lords.
Freka called the meeting.
Freka, yep.
Is it Freka or Freka?
Okay. So Freka calls a meeting, which is
fuckface to me.
It's unheard of for a lord to call a meeting. Only the king should be allowed to call a meeting. It's not illegal though. We made sure that was.
It just, it happens very rarely, but it's just weird.
It's uncommon, in fact. In fact, unheard of. But then they go do the meeting, and Freka. So this part is actually the most canonically accurate.
This whole like little meeting / what happens shortly after is straight out of the book. Everything else not.
Yes, you don't see a lot of variation in this. So it's. Freka says, he basically challenges Helm and says that, like...
Not really, it's just like, yo, my boy, your daughter, we're going to strengthen Rohan instead of having
you be Gondor's bitch.
Yeah, instead of being Gondor's bitch, yeah.
That's what so he challenges him by saying basically that he's just Gondor's lapdog and calls him out for that, and then proposes the marriage. And she's just like, no. She's like,
I don't want to marry any man. Are you implying you're a lesbian? Because you say this multiple times throughout the movie.
Guarantee it. So yeah, she's trying to like convince. So she's just not into the idea of being married. So it's basically that Disney movie Brave.
Oh,
where it's like
she's also a redhead.
Yeah, she's also a redhead and long hair. So all that good shit, you know it. So then they go through. Helm in a single punch kills Freka, but in this movie they play it off as an accident, like it wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, in the book, Helm didn't give a fuck.
No, he wasn't like
fuck Freka.
He wasn't like sorry or like
pissed on his body.
Yeah, and then Wolf tries to kill the king. He's just banished for it. It's like, okay, cool,
bro. Okay, that scene, right after he kills Freka, and everyone's like drawing their swords or whatever.
Yeah.
And Helm is like, there'll be no more blood spilt this day, blah blah blah. And then Helm threatens Wolf 3 separate times of killing him right after that.
Remy. So yeah, the
Bunch of sword away, I'll beat your fucking head. It's like, dude, you just like, there'll be no more blood.
Then they do a time skip / montage where they Wolf has been banished, he's been gone, everything's fine.
Several seasons pass.
And then
Miranda Otto as the narrator, by the way, totally useless. Didn't need it.
That landed horribly for me. Like, so
I like her and whatnot as Eowyn, but
yeah, she's the Eowyn. She's the actor for Eowyn in the
But they were showing everything. It's like the human brain can understand what's happening. You don't need her to tell you anything.
That was the worst part about it, is that they just kept narrating shit and giving you so much fucking exposition.
I know. I'm watching what you're watching right now, narrator.
Well,
I can understand this.
Yes, and it's but my biggest argument about the narration part was when they were telling you about Hera, because when you introduce like Gandalf, you introduce Aragon, you introduce Theoden King, you introduce all these characters. There's no one around them sucking their dick being like, he's the best rider.
No, he's such a good king.
he's Strider. He goes around killing goblins and finding the rings.
Yeah,
shit.
show, don't tell.
Yeah, exactly. It's so bad exposition. The dialogue is trash.
Dude, it is horrible. Even like we got some of these like named actors and whatnot that people recognize.
Yeah.
And I think everyone was shit.
There wasn't a good performance. I mean,
nothing. No, Brian Cox's Helm is like, did they just like wake him up straight out of bed and just like sit him up and put a mic in front of his face? It's like, hey, deliver these lines. Everyone sucked.
I don't think they even did him well. Like, but a lot of people are arguing about Helm Hammerhand being well portrayed in this. Like, oh, he is badass. He is ridiculously strong. He is doing what they're telling or what they said he was canonically doing. I was like, dude, you didn't even show him killing anybody.
Yeah,
well, except the punch.
There was like odd, weird parts to where they were very afraid to show violence.
Yeah, they just show you like a limb detached laying there on the ground.
Yeah,
instead of the fight.
Like the most notable one was at the end when she choked out Wolf with a shield.
Yeah,
and then like the shield comes up in front of the camera, so it blocks his face, so you don't see him dying.
Exactly.
It's like very weird shit like that.
Well, so after Wolf is banished, they do a time skip, and then they start seeing the Olifants, the Mumakil, floating around.
You had a rabies-induced Olifant.
Yeah, it just kind of randomly appears, and they've noticed them on patrols.
It has the ability, oddly enough, to change its size at a whim.
Yeah, it gets bigger and smaller depending on what the
situation calls for. Yes.
So they go around, and they kind of stumble across this guy, and then she runs away. Oh, this was the eagle shit at the very beginning. That pissed me off so much.
See, like, it looks pretty good
as a still frame.
But otherwise, it's like fucking 5 frames per second, and it's horrible to watch.
I mean, we have to talk about the animation for sure, because the animation is one of the big problems with this film. But she she leads the Oliphant so she has a guard who's with her, who's supposed to protect her.
Isn't it her cousin?
Yeah. And he goes to try to save her from the elephant, and then winds up needing to be saved by her, who then just has this brilliant idea to go bring the Oliphant to the Watcher, which is what you're seeing on screen here. It's that monster from the Fellowship of the Rings that was in the water in Moria.
This dude crawls over mountains.
No, it fucking doesn't. That's
no. It's just like there's like a tunnel under the mountain that's all water. So it's like
I think in fairness, I don't know for sure. I think it's made up
bullshit. Well, that's my fairness.
In fairness, I think that I don't know if
ones?
That's what I'm getting to, is I don't know if there are multiple of these things that exist in the world. I was under the impression there was one. I was under the impression there was one. It was where it was, and now they just put a second one in here.
Have you ever heard of just one creature? There's always like spawn and whatnot.
So like, okay, but that's the point I'm getting at. So Ungoliant in the original in the original Silmarillion and in the old stories, is one of. She's from the darkness before the music, right? She's like one of the oldest creatures in existence. It predates the existence of the Valar and all of that. Well, there's a lot of like entities like that in this universe that exist. And I was
thinking more like in our actual world, but I guess it does make sense a little more in
Tolkien's. Yeah. Well, the Watcher, I was under the impression the Watcher was another one of those dark creatures that predated the music, but I could be totally wrong on that. So
the guy of the universe was like just high that day, and it's like, let's just put some shit together.
We'll sprinkle a monster over here and drop a monster over here. A few over this over there.
One.
We can put the Balrogs on the planet.
You know what? Let's throw trees on his head just to make it weirder.
Yeah. So
this scene was one of the funniest parts of the fucking movie because, all right, so she's like bringing the Oliphant to the Watcher.
Yeah.
And she's at the lake, and it's quiet as shit. And then all of a sudden, it just pans into like 2 trees, and the Oliphant's face is there. It's like, what the fuck is that?
And then it roars
this
like
20-ton fucking animal is the quietest thing I've ever heard.
It just surprises the shit out of her, and like
his dumb face. I don't know. The animation on it was like fucking retarded.
It was bad. It was really not good. But then she baits the Watcher into attacking the Oliphant, and then it swallows this elephant whole.
I don't think she really baited. It was more just like he decided to attack the big ass Oliphant.
You were the biggest thing, and something small poked me. So that you look delicious.
Yeah, eats the fucking Oliphant, which is like, all right, either this Watcher is the size of a goddamn castle, or the Oliphant, like I said, has special properties where he can change the size of it. And he just decided to make himself an appetizer.
It swallowed him freaking whole, guys. Like, it just gulped the Oliphant down. It was insanely frustrating to watch.
And it was at this point that I knew
they fucked up.
This is gonna be really fucking stupid throughout the entire thing.
So they go back to Edoras, where Helm is, and he's pissed off at the cousin for needing to be saved and not saving his daughter. Banishes him.
Oh my god, yeah, he goes on this fucking rant that's like just admonishing this her cousin.
This is like a hero and family, like an actual strong dude.
And he's basically like disowns, like you're almost pretty much exiled.
Yeah. That was insane. And then
no, that was after she got kidnapped is when that went down.
Right. Okay, yeah, okay.
So more shit happened.
Course correct. Course correct. So after the Oliphant is killed, she gets kidnapped immediately. Like they were just there.
the animation of him like running up and just slamming the sack on her face is hilarious.
Yeah, and it's the guy on the right in this shot. This is the guy we have to like.
He's the best character and the most pointless character.
He's the best and the most pointless at the same time. So he goes on and kidnaps her, brings her to a castle. Or no, brings her to Isengard.
Yeah, it's Isengard.
So they
what the fuck? Because Saruman is in this movie.
Yes.
What the hell is he doing? He's just sitting in that tower. Does he not have, or is he not stationed?
He might be in Rivendell as part of like the Council of Elrond. Like, because I'm pretty sure they had the White Council before.
How
he was captain
long does this story take place before Fellowship?
200 years is what they said in the narrative, but I don't know what the appendices actually said. Yeah. Yep, somewhere in the dialogue in the beginning they said 200 years or so before the ring ever came to Middle Earth or whatever. So I'm butchering it, but yes, the answer is yes. They did put that in here.
Fucking Hobbit stole it.
Yeah. Oh, before the ring ever came to Bilbo Baggins. Is what they said.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah.
So they did drop that little nugget in there.
Yeah.
But then she's freed from Isengard. She goes straight back to Edoras and is telling him he's got an army and shit.
Okay, yeah, but how does she escape from Isengard? That's another fucking weird
Her cousin saves her.
No, that fucking Shield Maiden, which they go on about multiple times throughout this movie, about the Shield Maidens.
Yep.
I don't know if that's an actual like canonical thing. I doubt it, but
I think they did. They referenced the Shield Maidens in Eowyn's story.
Yeah. But they referenced it multiple times, and this is like when all the men were dead or whatever, the women took up and drove out the whatever,
and they became like a faction. It's like
they got their own like fucking crest and whatnot.
Yeah.
But that's Shield Maiden bitch basically just walks up to wherever she's at and is like, "Hey, we gotta go."
Exactly.
And it's like, you want to jump out that window there?
Just holds him off for a minute. Just holds. And so, yeah, the Shield Maiden is actually an annoying ass character in this.
She is the girl boss.
She's the love interest.
Yeah. Hera, the main character, is Mary Sue. The Shield Maiden is the girl boss.
Yeah, absolutely. They escape. They go back to Edoras. Then the cousin is rebuked. And
which didn't deserve whatsoever. It was almost kind of like harkens back to when Éomer gets like banished or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and saves the day, which this fucking dude does the same shit.
Yeah, it's rip off.
It's like, dude, why not just watch Helm's Deep at this point?
Exactly. Well, then you got so Wolf and his general go and actually attack Edoras. They come with an army of exactly 80 people.
Dude, yeah, those white shots were hilarious.
So
It's like, oh my god, he's got this huge army. And the white shot, and it's like, you couldn't just draw people that didn't even move?
yeah, it was a tiny little army, but it was like they were all marching to their death. And like they had, they at least drew twice the amount of horses that army had, and they were like
You just like see little flickers and then stuff hanging around them. It's like, I didn't know everyone had green fire, by the way. I don't know.
Nah,
it was weird color.
Yeah, there was a lot of neon in that shot for sure. But
Fire, I was actually laughing. I was paying particular attention. I don't know why.
Can I say
to how they were doing fire in this?
Yep.
And it was like,
it's bad.
in some shots, yeah, it is the most. It's dimmer than just
The environment around
it. Yeah.
it's darker.
It's
than
like that's the most muted fire I've ever seen in my life.
So they go onto the battlefield, and at this point, Hera figures out they've been betrayed by one of their commanders, lord generals, dudes, whatever, and the city's going to be attacked from its flank, from a different position, and they're going to use elephants. They're going to use Oliphants to tear down the city,
Which doesn't make sense. You're trying to like become king, whatever, / get your revenge, and it's like, well, while that fight's going over here, we're just gonna stampede and run right through that fucking capital. It's like, all right, cool. You want to be the king of ashes or whatever the fuck?
Okay, so in fairness, it seemed to be the case that the
It's like,
Oliphants
whoever
were going
gets
to
to
be.
the capital first becomes king.
I am the king. I have the crown. I have the king.
I'm on the race.
He's to be fair, I think the plan was just to break down the gates and one segment of fence, and then just see where it goes. You know, I mean, they still have to kill the king. So-
That's the first time I heard you laugh in that movie too. Is when they're like pouring oil on the wall and then just light it up right in front.
Oh
of
yeah,
their faces.
yes.
It's like, are we supposed to go down with it?
To prevent the Oliphant, so for clarification, to prevent the Oliphant from just knocking over the gate, they poured a casket of oil onto the wooden walls of the gate, and they were all standing there in the puddle of oil and dropped a fucking torch onto it and lit themselves on
Light it
fire.
up.
But for the sheer power of editing, they did not burst into flame immediately, and then they all
It's such a weird shot because yeah, they show this like almost uncontrollable fire, and she's just standing there with a hand over her face, like, oh my god, oh.
It's toasty.
This fire came out of nowhere.
It's a little warm. So then she kills the first Oliphant trying to charge the gate. The brother kills a second.
The older one, yeah.
Yep, kills a second one.
Basically does Legolas shit.
Yep.
Takes down an Oliphant right in front of the what would be like that central building or whatever.
Yeah, the capital. The hall, the Great Hall.
Yeah, the Great Hall.
Yep.
It comes onto its head. It's like, yeah, I'm awesome. Go Rohan. The fucking arrow, right?
Arrow shoots him right in the side of his neck, and he just goes down. And it's like, and everyone's looking at this like Hera wouldn't have been cheering prematurely. Like, you still gotta
celebrate too early.
Yeah, you're still losing this fucking war. It's like, what are you doing? You're still losing. Get on with it. Like, get back to fighting. But yeah, he gets arrow right to the neck. This doesn't. So another Mary Sue aspect was, so she keeps being right about shit.
Oh,
and that's
yeah.
the problem. And the men don't listen to her. The men don't listen to her about banishing Wolf, about banishing her cousin. And then her brother goes to war.
Reinforcements.
Yeah, her brother goes to war on a friggin' like ancient donkey.
Oh yeah, this
rides to
that
battle.
one's fucking hilarious. It's like let's give our retarded little brother loot plane fuck like a consolation prize of a horse.
It's the oldest and most decrepit horse in all of Rohan.
It's not
And
like he's the prince or anything.
He's like, it's my favorite horse.
He's like, yeah, cool. You can play with her after the fucking war.
Well, and that leads to his ultimate demise, because when they're evacuating the city and fleeing, the older brother having already been killed by a random arrow flying through his neck when he's celebrating, the younger...
I think Wolf fired it.
No, he did. Yeah, that's confirmed. Yep. But the younger brother is now on a horse that is just too tuckered.
Yeah, I'll catch up with you later.
It's a tuckered horse. Horse gives up.
This horse is having a goddamn stroke.
The horse gives up, is panting, just stops running, and the guy's just like, "It's okay, sweetheart. You did your best. I'm just gonna die now."
Yeah, we're both gonna die now. You old bitch.
presumably fires at least one shot from his arrow before being captured immediately.
You think he would have just died at that point, like going down fighting?
It was bad.
But no, I guess ropes matter now.
So he was
We're gonna
captured.
tie down our
he was captured.
hostage.
Where was his bag over his head? So
He's a white male. He doesn't need one.
he was captured, taken to. So all of them evacuated to Helm's Deep. It's
the
called
Hornburg.
The Hornburg. At this point in time, it's the Hornburg.
They have a very Rey moment at the end of the movie.
Yeah, Skywalker. But yeah, they go to the Hornburg, and Helm and Hera are standing there on the walkway, and Wolf, the main villain, the character you're seeing on screen right now, him, his general, and the newly captured son are there, and he's threatening to execute the son, and Helm's ready to just like, I'm done. Just don't kill him.
Right.
Like, you win, dude.
The wolf is gonna execute him, and white-haired dude is like, hey, maybe this ain't the best idea. And this is like happens multiple times throughout the movie, to where it's like that dude's the voice of reason, and then he goes against him. So ultimately, being a just pointless character.
Almost every dialogue scene between these two characters results in the white-haired guy giving relatively decent and respectable advice, and Wolf just being like, fuck you!
Nah, fuck that. I'm a bad person. He basically says that too by the end of the movie. It's like, I'm just bad.
This is where the movie gets insanely slow. This is where everything dials down to a grind.
The whole thing after the Hornburg,
yeah,
I was passing out. I was passing out during the fight with the troll.
Yeah,
I was like, this is so goddamn boring. I'm gonna go pee.
Everything at this point just grinds to an immediate halt. Wolf kills the youngest son, guaranteeing
he slits his throat right there. And it's like, all right, cool, leverage is gone. What'd you bring him there just to kill him?
Yeah, exactly. So
he's so inefficient.
It was bad. So Helm and Hera retreat into Helm's Deep, and they don't have enough food for the winter. And then they eventually find out they have enough food for the winter. That ends up.
It's like, was that ever resolved? It's just
no. It's
like
just
not
an
a
empty plot hole.
We don't have enough fuel for the fires. And it's like
the whole winter they have fire.
We're gonna burn your little brother's fucking harp.
Yep. So they have to burn everything, but they run out of
everything works out pretty much.
Yeah. Well, the funniest part of the entire movie for me was they go, oh, you know exactly where I'm going with this. We scoured for a photo of this bitch. Okay, so the Hornburg has a.
Imagine the crypt keeper.
I scoured looking for any shot I could of this woman, but in the Hornburg they have a keeper of the basically a scepter who like manages the keep and runs everything, and she's
in a managerial position.
Yeah, she's very protective over like garbage, and it's like old garbagey torn clothes. They're like very precious to her, and she did a really bad job of managing the resources that this place would have.
The worst voice acting was her character.
Oh, bad. She sounded like so the thing that's funny about her is that she both looks and sounds like the witch from Rick and Morty during the sun, like the whole era, like King of the Sun arc. And she walks up and she's like, you cannot touch that. It's a relic from times forgotten. And it just reminded me of when the witch woman comes in Rick and Morty, and she's like, I see the fortune in the bones. And I just died. I laughed out loud in the theater.
2 seconds later, it's like, yeah, it's gonna be a cold winter or some shit. It's like, I feel it in my bones.
Yeah, she says that, and I'm just like, oh my god, she said the thing. I died, guys. It was the funniest fucking moment of the entire film.
Oh
it was the only thing I could possibly equate to entertainment.
I feel it in my bones.
It was so funny, guys. What
was that one shot? This one had been later in the movie. It was
catch my breath.
She was saying something like ominous or whatever, and then Shield Maiden bitch is like, who says that? She's like, I do, and it zooms in really close to her face. Yeah. Like, what the fuck was that?
I don't think this woman was put in there for comic relief, but that's all she ended up being.
Oh my god.
It was just this stupid character.
We're doing perfect impressions, by the way.
We are. We're nailing this shit. We are we could have voice acted this character to be that person.
Easy.
We could have voice acted the voice actor. We nailed this shit. We're crushing it.
But yeah, they spend like a fuckload of time at the Hornburg. Basically, Numbnuts Wolf is building this insane goddamn siege tower. It is the most impressively over-engineered thing I've ever seen in medieval times in my life.
Yeah. Did they have siege towers before they had ladders?
I was just saying, you could just like You could almost just build a ladder, a really, really, really like wide one.
You could have built like 20 ladders, and you just win.
No, with the amount of wood and shit that they use, they could have built thousands of ladders.
They could have rebuilt Edoras twice. The amount of this thing was
They
impressive.
just built a city outside of there.
Just so you guys understand, like trying to give you guys a visual here, like close your eyes and follow along with us as we
Imagine
describe.
the Burj Khalifa is a siege tower, and it falls over to make a bridge.
Don't tell the next part yet. Save this for a minute because this part's gonna hit hard a little bit later. But yeah, the siege tower was constructed such that at its peak was taller than the Hornburg. It was
By multitudes.
By multitudes. It dwarfed the wall significantly. And then, so yes, we will get to that a little bit closer to that scene, but we have to
we have to chill around Helm for a while in the winter.
So this is both the most boring and also the most like fair to Helm that they've done.
Somewhat accurate.
There's a billion things to complain about with it, like the fact that he is sick at the moment that they start all dying, like he's just laying in his bed.
So she does say, the old crypt keeping lady, she's like,
it's like melancholy.
Physically, he's healed all the way, but his mind is broken.
Exactly. And then Hera's just like falls asleep in the blistering cold, like with resting her head on him, and then doesn't realize that he just like fucking dipped.
He just dips.
This guy's a mountain of a person. This guy's huge. There's no way she didn't fucking realize that her pillow just walked off.
Exactly. She was laying on him somewhere.
Yeah. Her head would have fallen onto solid stone. It's like it's a stone bed. It's like it would have just fallen right onto rock. But then
head falls and a piece of hay goes up her nose.
So yeah, then she goes looking for him, and apparently Helm is just like knocking dudes out, just absolutely finds a secret escape patch from within the Hornburg and goes out and just starts murdering people, which is true. That is how they were doing. That is how his character works in the appendices.
It's like a specter.
But the most exciting part of all of that is completely vanished because they don't show him killing anybody.
No, it's just like a random blood puddle here or there, and then a figure in the
night.
The figure in the back with like flowing hair and a beard. It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah, and then you go.
So much fun.
Hera thinks that she found him and follows out through the secret passage that she just kind of discovers.
Oh yeah, she leaned on a wall and then floop.
And then it's apparently the most airtight, but also the most mobile stone in the world, such that she was yelling for help through exactly 1 inch of stone, and nobody.
It's like she was searching for a draft and then found it, flew through this wall, and then the draft sealed up,
and it all became solid stone again. Because no one could fucking hear her.
No.
She was screaming at the top of her little.
Stone doesn't echo in an empty place at all.
Exactly. So she goes out and leaves through the hole, and there are orcs here. Let me just clarify the stupidity of this scene. It was only there for member berries and nostalgia bait. You were supposed to, as the viewer,
for multiple reasons, because the actors too.
Well, yeah. Give me, let me run with this for a second, but then I want you to cover that part. The orcs are there outside of this hole, collecting rings from the dead bodies of all of these, all of the Dunlendings that were besieging them, and it's because
we're gonna find every ring.
We're gonna find all the rings, and we have bring them back to to Mordor. Why does Mordor need rings? We'll find out soon. And so it's all bullshit. You're supposed to, as the audience, like they dangling this carrot in front of you. Look, rings. Look, orcs. These are all things you're supposed to remember and love, right? And then
you know what I'm referencing.
Wink, wink. So, yeah, go ahead and like the actors who play them, go ahead and punch it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's Billy Boyd and fucking Dominic Monaghan, marrying Pippin.
Yeah, those voice actors playing the fucking roles of the orcs. Helm runs in.
I saw Billy Boyd in the cast before we went to see this movie. I'm like, all right, cool. He actually might drop a sick fucking song because he does that.
He's
shit.
a beautiful singer. He's an amazing singer.
Nope, they're just two fucking random orcs.
Yeah, and then the troll that they have to fight. And so Helm just one taps both of the orcs.
This guy's going fisticuffs with the troll for 2 minutes while Hera's doing something. I don't know.
She's hiding. She's hiding, trying to figure it out. Right? She's not a great fighter until later.
Yeah.
But and every other moment she's a great fighter. But so she goes to
but fisticuffs with the troll.
We got Chalksmack in the chat. Whole idiotic movie is nostalgia bait. Member berries and pandering to modern audience. No shit. It was absolutely all that. That was all it was. Like, if you wanted to go and watch a movie about the Rohirrim, Helm's Deep is a better story. It's better done. And this movie, you could make an argument can be made that they tried to do good faith to Helm Hammerhand in this. I think they tried their hardest. I think
no, they didn't try their hardest. They're like, what's the bare minimum that we can do?
Okay, good point. Good correction. Yeah, I think they did the bare minimum on that because you're right. And I think they
'Cause if they tried their hardest, then it would have been a faithful adaptation.
right. They checked the boxes. I guess is right. They checked the boxes. Yeah. They had him doing the thing in the middle of the night in the winter, going off and killing people and all that shit. Okay, so then Hera has to save Helm from the troll by just headshots only.
That was another checkbox, by the way.
Yeah.
It's like she has to
save Helm. Yep. Because he can't take down the troll with only his bare fists.
Fisties.
Despite being actually like
just
OP.
murking dudes.
Yeah.
Just taking dudes' heads off.
So the troll roars and that draws the Dunlendings in, and then so now they have to run to the gate.
This is when I took a piss. Because
All right, let me cook then. So like
it's like, I don't care. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom way sometime.
The troll runs, or the troll roars, baits all the Dunlendings up to that hillside, and so Helm and Hera have to make a beeline.
Okay, and that's why they were running from it when I came back.
Yep, they had to make a beeline straight for the gate.
Yeah.
And okay, the gate now it doesn't work.
Oh, BT dubs. I don't know why I noticed this, but like the walkway going up to the gate, they shaped it differently for some goddamn reason. It's more like an S.
Yeah,
than it is like a U.
It's a little bit of like artistic failure on that part of like representation.
Because there's like you have plenty of
source material to pull from. Yeah,
I don't know how you make it that way or why you even do it that way.
So here's the shit part. Like Helm has to sacrifice himself for no fucking reason. So the gate fails to open, and then they just. So that you have a mechanism.
It's frozen.
They have a mechanism to wedge this thing open, like a gear that pulls the gate, like opens the gate, and it just fails and just flies back shut. And then they pull it open with their hands.
Oh yeah.
They just pry it open. Like that is the
human
worst.
Body is way stronger.
That's
than
the worst gate
we can create.
That's the worst gate you could possibly create for a castle. Is one that could just be opened. It's like they just pull on it.
Pulled by the strength of a toddler.
So Helm pushes Hera into the crack that they create by pulling it open,
and then they just stop pulling.
Yeah, they just give up.
I guess it's time.
We don't need to open the gate for Helm. Like he's only our king. Let him die.
Yeah.
So they do.
Some old fuck. Who cares?
They did. So let me also pull up the artwork for it. So this art.
That's great.
This art is from. I don't remember the original source, but. Basically, there are a very small handful of artists who are accredited with the like cover art for some of the best books that have come out since the Silmarillion and all the like extra books that have come out. So I believe this is actually a produced work from them, and that's what they were supposed to try to create in the scene with Helm Hammerhand fighting at the gate of Helm's Deep off against all these Dunlendings that were just attacking him, and then he freezes solid. They have him doing like the All Might pose from My Hero Academia with his fist in the air and just holding his fist up in the air, frozen solid.
It looks retarded.
It looks so goofy.
Everything's frozen, and then he's got a few like hairs flowing in the wind.
Yeah, you got this badass shot here, and they're like, not that. No, he doesn't have his fist in the air. It's not defiant enough. Like, fuck, what are you talking about? So it was this scene, but really cartoonized and bad, and his fist is just up in the air. It was stupid. It looked really gimmicky. So then it just basically boils down to running out the rest of the clock. Like Hera is like coming up with an idea about like how to free them. And
meanwhile, building tower.
Yeah. Wolf and his advisor are both like having a bunch of conversations about like, this is taking too long. It's costing too much money.
I think they're jilted lovers, maybe. That's why he doesn't listen to him ever.
Maybe. But every single piece of relatively good advice that's being given to Wolf is being completely neglected.
This is the most, okay. Wolf is the most like basic ass
villain.
He's villain incarnate, basically. It's like, I just want revenge. This woman didn't accept my proposal, so therefore I must murder her and her entire family.
Yeah, keep in mind, guys, that at the end, when Helm passes away, like when Helm dies and he's frozen solid on the walkway, they have won the war by every conceivable
it's
metric.
Over then. Now there's just a bunch of civilians just chilling in a place that you want to.
Yeah, and the daughter that you just want to kill because you were like rejected one time.
Right. We don't have to continue the siege. You could just like wait until she leaves.
Yeah. I mean, what's she gonna do?
You just like, you know, go back to Edoras.
You don't even believe she could be queen. What do you care? It's like, you don't even think she can rule. So like, she's not a threat to you. So yeah, he's being advised to just abandon the siege. Now Helm's dead. There's no reason to stay. He doubles down. He's like, no, you all are going to get paid because there's money in that fucking castle. So get back to work. And he's just lying to all of his fucking soldiers. That never
like,
comes back to bite him.
Say he actually ends up victorious. So he gets killed by his own army, basically, after that.
Yeah.
There is no through game here.
There's so many plot moments that never become, like, never get readdressed. That's one of them.
Well, he dies, so I guess the other dudes would just be like, all right, cool, fuck that kid.
Right, but yeah, so he never answers for the gold thing, I guess. It's like, his people don't turn on him, his people don't abandon the siege, they just lose. So I mean, like, there's no repercussion for him like lying to his soldiers. Right. It was never addressed in any meaningful way. So yeah, so you get to the point, now it's time for the siege. Now this was like the moment I wanted to save, because this is my second favorite part of the whole film. Now the siege is beginning. I'm gonna completely ignore the part about how she climbs a fucking wall or a mountain of ice.
Oh yeah, dude. I was like, what the fuck is this, Modern Warfare 2?
we're gonna ignore that. Basically to summarize it, and then just to move past as fast as I can on that part.
Climbs over a mountain, talks to an eagle. Eagles speak English, by the way. They don't talk, they can understand it.
Yep.
All right, cool. Whatever. Eagle goes out and basically delivers message to her cousin that is basically Aemir in this movie and has a bunch of riders.
Well, and there's no reason for the eagle to help them over, say, like...
Eagles don't give a fuck, basically. They're like, all right, this is like some world-ending shit. Maybe now I'll intervene. Yeah. Not a random skirmish about...
Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous. So... she goes, climbs the... yeah, that's over. We're done with that. Moving on. Now the siege has begun. They have finished their tower. And this is the most convoluted fucking tower. You describe this better than I could. I will let you run with this if you want to, because this one's all you. If you...
Well, yeah, I was saying, yeah, it's the most over-engineered thing you've ever seen in your fucking life. Like, it took a forest to build this goddamn thing. It stands like 3 times as tall as the walls of fucking Helm's Deep, and actually, like, they were raising parts of it, like the drummer.
It kept
for
going.
some reason, there's a goddamn drummer on top of it. It's just drumming along, and they keep raising it, and they just tip the fucking thing over and make the most ridiculous bridge I've ever seen in my life.
Just knocked over one of this tower of wood. And the fact that the wood landed with that much force and weight and didn't immediately blow into pieces, because it's all just
didn't
wood.
Break off the wall.
Yeah.
Slide down
it's just a giant piece of wood. Are you going to talk about the drummer?
Well, that actually might be my favorite character.
You want me to run it?
Yeah.
Okay, the siege begins, and you see this war drummer, and you get excited, get a little hyped about it. Okay, cool. So the war drummer's like banging away, and you're like, oh, I wonder where he's at right now, because you're not really seeing him anywhere. And the tower starts to rise, and then you realize, oh, he's on top of the tower. He's like at the very peak. He's up there. He's got a war drum. He's just having a great time. It's tall enough that no one can fucking hear the war drum from down below, but he's just banging away, having the time of his life. This dude's living his best world. So then the tower starts to tip and fall. He's still banging, and then the tower lands, propels him forward off screen, presumably straight into the wall of rock, and becomes a splatter.
Dude, I was just thinking of, for some reason, that dude reminded me of Mad Max Fury Road. Just one of those dispendable dudes that just sprays paint in his face. It was like,
it was so nuts. It was
witness me, and then just splat against the wall.
Then you move on to the battle between. So then the siege happens. They start running up the walkway.
On the dress.
Yep. I'm ignoring the dress again entirely. There's so much about this that can be ignored.
It represents fuck marriage.
Yeah.
That's the entire point of this.
Exactly. The wedding dress is like, I'm not married. You wanted a bride.
I don't want to marry any man.
I'm gonna show you a bride.
It's not anyone. It's man. I'm gonna marry my shield maiden.
So she runs her horse down the newly constructed
insane bridge.
Yeah, the newly constructed wood bridge, and goes and attacks Wolf, and obviously moves past an entire army without issue.
Right. And
then challenges him. Is like, you wouldn't fight a girl. So it's like,
You think you
It's
could,
like, you want to punch a guy with glasses, would you? You want
think
to
you
fight a girl?
if you don't fight a woman, your whole army's gonna think you're a pussy.
Yeah, I challenge you. If I win, your whole army leaves. It's like, why would the army even fucking agree to that?
Yeah.
They'd be like, no, I was told there's gold in there.
Yeah.
I want the goddamn gold.
Yeah. And
I'm not
so
just gonna leave because some dude loses.
well, and so then they fight. He starts to lose pretty badly, embarrassingly. He loses this fight,
Dude,
like 6 times.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's just there's a beginning and ending to this fight multiple times.
Yeah. So they fight on the bridge. He loses. They fight at the base of the bridge.
He loses.
Then he desperately is like, I give up. Then he pulls out a dagger and then he dies. He's a bitch.
Oh, favorite character though, white-haired man.
Yeah, white-haired guy in the shot
Before
here.
this duel, he's like, "You shouldn't take the bait. This is kind of retarded. Why even we considering this?"
Yep.
And then, Wolf, young asshole here, like says some like really fucking retarded line.
No. You're flip flopping. So you're right. He says there's no reason to take this fight. Then they fight. He loses, and he's like, you need to keep your word. He's like, you need to keep your word. And then he's like, men who like there's no
Honorable
honor.
and dishonorable
Yeah.
men, they all bleed the same. It's
Yeah.
like, and he stabs fucking second lieutenant guy that was right this entire goddamn
Yeah.
time.
Every single dialogue between these two, he's just saying no to him. It's like an RPG with like a good like dialogue tree.
It's like, I don't want to take this quest. No, stop asking me.
And then he finally gets the opportunity to be like have a redemption, like become a decent person. And the guy's like, no, there's no honor in this. And he's like, fucking deletes the cutscene, just stabs the guy, and he just
Honorable and
dies.
dishonorable men, they'll bleed the same. It's like, what does that even fucking mean? That's not profound.
Oh my god! So
It's like I like the fucking phrase. It's like characters are only as smart as their writers.
yeah,
It's like, all right, so the writer was a make-a-wish. This is fucking retarded.
this is so bad. Oh, so he loses the
He
fight.
fights and dies multiple times.
He fights and dies. Then you have her cousin shows up, saves the day, and then because Hera says so, he doesn't kill any of he stops attacking, like lets them all go home and escape.
Yeah,
Assuming that's what's gonna happen. Because again, there's only like 50 horses and like 30 dudes. like this was the smallest siege ever.
it was wild. Yeah, well, and you had the shield maiden while the duel is going on, fighting against like horde of guys coming up the fucking bridge, and then she makes it. I don't know how.
I was gonna be like, it would be much more impressive if it was a large amount of guys. I mean, it's most of them at a time, but it was very.
Yeah, no, the scaling in this movie goes back and forth so much. It's like, all right, we got a shitload of people. Now we only have 5.
So then you get to the king is crowned. It's her cousin becomes king. She doesn't want to be a ruler, but the cousin's like, you should be the ruler because you hid behind a wall for a whole winter. It's like did nothing. But then so it's just a bunch of like
I don't want to be king. I got this message, and this is one of the 3 things that pissed me off the most because we skipped 2 of them.
right.
She's gonna go on an adventure because she got a message from who?
Gandalf.
Of course, Gandalf. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, you want to help me find these rings or whatever?
I half hoped they were going to redeem that moment by just not name dropping him. And then they here's the letter. It's Gandalf.
Well, it's like they can because they have the rights. Where Rings of Power couldn't until the 2nd season when they paid for
Yep.
having the
Access
name
to
Gandalf.
Gandalf's name. The stranger. What
It's
a
like, oh
fucking
my
joke.
god. So
So-
she's gonna go hang out with Gandalf, and the reason Philippa and these people wanted this story or whatever, it's like it's a self-contained story. And then at the end, it's like we're gonna go adventuring with Gandalf. Well, you just made it a non-contained story.
Yep. Exactly. So it's okay. So we've gotten through the breakdown of the film. We've gone almost scene by scene.
That was one of the worst moments. Another one, they tried to redo Ride of the Rohirrim.
Yeah. Can I take that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so Ride of the Rohirrim, if you've watched previous episodes of the podcast, you know is like the most powerful moment in the entirety of cinema for me. I have spoken multiple times about the video you could find on YouTube of Tolkien, J.R. Tolkien, actually reading
Reading it.
that passage on the radio. And while he's reading that passage on the radio, you're actually watching a muted, a muted version of the scene Ride of the Rohirrim from Return of the King. And it's one of the most beautiful moments in all of writing, and it's such power. It's so powerful. Well, The reason in Return of the King that they're all yelling death, death, like ride for Rohan, like they're all charging or
Ride
like
for ruin.
ride for ruin and the world ending, and then they just yell
Scream
death
death,
3
yeah.
times. Like the reason they're doing that is because the army of orcs is approximately 80,000 orcs, and
there's 6,000.
they're 6,000 deep. Yeah,
They're
they have
riding to their death.
death. Exactly. In the battle outside of Edoras, they also are chanting death. That's their war cry in this. I'm just like, you motherfucker. How dare you do that shit to me?
Like, Master Rohirrim.
Yeah, they were just like really overplaying the severity of the fight they believed they were in.
Right.
I mean, obviously it was a bigger scene and a bigger siege than they believed, but they were really, really trying to oversell it. And it was,
very nostalgia baity.
well, I was just pissed. I was just offended. But yeah, they were trying to be like, look how the Rohirrim do their battles, and it's like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah, another one.
That was my biggest offense I took from the whole thing. That was like, I flipped off the screen.
Yeah, that's right.
I flipped off the screen. That was
As soon as he said death, middle finger went up.
I was pissed, dude. That was of every offense this movie lays on
I
me.
was just shaking my head. It's like, that you don't deserve this at all.
At every offense this movie laid on me, that was the moment all good faith was out the window. Like I was trying. After that, it all became academic, and I was just trying to like break down the film. But I was pissed. I never got over that. And I never will.
Another one that really pissed me off was, I think it was when Helm died, or was it when Helm died? And they started that song that Eowyn sang.
Oh yeah,
for Theoden's son.
yeah. The funeral
It's
right.
like, you do not deserve that song. Helm probably deserves it, but the movie does not deserve it.
No.
At all. And I actually really like that song. And I've heard people bitch about that in OT.
So
It's like she just starts singing the song. It's like,
so
it's a good moment. It's a
you
beautiful
covered
moment.
you covered the song, the ride of the Rohirrim, the charge, and Gandalf being name dropped
Those
at
might
the
be
end.
the most offensive, is what I'm saying. It's like, you don't deserve any of these.
Yeah, to me it's definitely the ride of the Rohirrim. Number 1 pissed me off the most. I think that what they did with the artwork for Helm Hammerhand with his like being frozen pose, because it's like
turned it into kind of a joke.
Yeah, you made that into an absolute joke. I think those two are the biggest ones. I think the Watcher beyond the Watcher was also, and I might just be standing on loose gravel with that one, because it's possible there are more of them and I just don't remember.
Well, I was listening to FNT, and Gary from Neurotic was like, apparently these guys can just teleport or whatever, because like he doesn't mention that there are multiple ones. He's very affluent in Tolkien's world and whatnot. So.
Right. Well, and so like so those are my big issues with this one. Those are the ones that bother me the most.
The Oliphaunts are fucking hilarious to me, though.
Let's talk about the movie, like the actual cinematic elements of this, like the sound. So you recycle the sound from the Peter Jackson trilogy, and I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Well, people are saying like, "Oh, it sounds so good." I was like, "I'm supposed to be impressed. You just recycled it."
Right.
Like
It's like the screen could be black, and you could just be like, throw on my soundtrack from
Return
of the King.
Yeah, if anything, I'd give that like a 4 for unoriginality.
Right.
Like for being unoriginal. Then you have the actual art, which you were about to touch on earlier, but I think I stopped you.
Yeah.
The animation.
I will say, okay, the animation itself is dog shit. It's the background that I actually really like. It's like, it just forget the foreground and look towards the back.
Yeah.
Like every shot is great that wise. But the animation is so like jumpy and jittery, because it is like it is literally almost 5 frames per second.
Well,
it's insane.
Well, even normies ignoring it actually pisses me off more. It's like, how did you like
the way people walk, like especially in the console, it's so just like,
or CGI, like bad CGI,
and just like the way they turn is so like so slow and whatnot. It's just it's weird.
And we can accredit the bad animation to the fact they had multiple studios all working together on this project.
Yeah,
and,
I don't know about the art department in this one.
Well, so it was several studios that were all collaborating to make this project. So there was probably a lot of disjointed like.
So one studio is like having the time of their life, just making backgrounds and whatnot.
Yeah. So here, I mean, you could take almost any freeze frame from this movie and say, "Oh, it's an anime."
Just keep scrolling through them. I want to see.
Well, oh yeah. So, yeah, we'll go back to. Yep. Oh, I know what you were. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, on the gallery.
We'll start here. Yeah. So you could take almost any freeze frame from this, and you could find some, like, you could appreciate it as
Looks
anime.
good.
But if you start
In
moving the
motion?
screen, I mean, look at this shot. So like the guys on the left here, this is the fire Cody's talking about where it's so freaking dim. And then, and then these are like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Double that behind here, maybe 30. Maybe 30 something soldiers here.
Well, there's like
with
one
this
shot.
elephant.
There's like one shot where they show a shitload of people, and then every other shot that shows like armies in the distance, it was like 5-10 people.
Yeah,
It's so weird.
yeah, it's not good. Yes, but you could scroll through this and you could be like, oh, that's actually good anime art. As soon as the screen starts to become alive and start moving, you notice the jittering, and you can't unnotice it if you're aware of that stuff. I mean, even normies who like most normies don't like anime, like at least in my experience. But if
I mean, that's just art. I mean, look at it. It looks good. It's very detailed.
yeah, but if you're someone who appreciates anime, you're not going to be able to unsee that jitter.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Oh, dude, the animation's horrible.
So I mean, so it's the
But yeah, the outdoor environments and like when you get like this grandscaping shot,
yeah,
and it's like the background's fine because it doesn't fucking move.
right.
It looks insane, and it was actually kind of cool to see that on a screen that big.
Mhm.
But everything else is just it's only redeeming. I won't even say redeeming. That is the only good part of this entire movie is the background outdoor shots.
Well, so how I would interpret that is like the only good thing. So it's the only good thing, meaning 50% of this was good. 50% of this shot.
No,
Like I'm talking about a
it
shot.
basically is, yeah, because you got the 4 in the back.
Half of every shot was decent.
Yeah,
Half of
pretty
every-
much.
But every shot was bad, but half of every shot was decent.
Otherwise, like it's actually surprising to me that this was worse than the Marvels.
Oh, so much worse than the Marvels. Like I gave this a 1 and I was being very honest. I wasn't being
Yeah,
hyperbolic.
I said 2, and I actually might drop it.
I like just as this discussion was going on, it reads more of like a parody than an actual like epic.
It's insane that this is written by adults.
Well, like I said, Peter Jackson likes
It's
putting his name on this, so
Like,
Peter
I
Jackson
understand
presents.
they made it to keep the rights as long as you're making content or
Yeah.
whatever. But it almost looks like it was made in a weekend. It feels like it was made in a weekend.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
they spent
bad.
no time on it.
Well, let's look at other. So
And
it's been out for 2 days. So
yeah,
let's
yeah.
be. It's been out for 2 days. So let's be honest about like. Let's be honest. Let's pull up the reviews. Here's my take before we show the reviews. I think the majority of these are fake. That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
Yeah, instead of buying critics, they're buying audience members.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think they just post the audience reviews, or I think they're just generating fake audience reviews.
Well, I mean, Tomato, I don't really.
No, but Rotten Tomatoes has a 52% on the tomato meter for critic
The one
scores.
time I agree with critics instead of audience.
Well, I don't even agree with them. I think they were lighter on this than they should have been.
Well, true. Very true.
But out of 83, a 50%, I'm like, okay. I think 1 week into this, I think we will have a more fair score, but we'll have to wait and see. There's no way to tell right now. But 85%, I call absolute bullshit. Like, there was one guy in the theater who, like, who started to clap at the end.
I want to say he was doing it ironically because we laughed and then they laughed.
Yeah, it's like some guy started clapping behind us and we burst out laughing. It was like, "Are you out of your like this was in our theater, and this theater actually had more tickets. This showtime, and this theater had more tickets sold than Craven,
Which was on the
ultra
like,
screen, like the big screen.
Yeah,
So this movie had more attendance than
and it still wasn't
other
even
films.
that packed.
No.
no. I mean, it wasn't packed. It was just like blotted throughout the
throughout the room. Yeah.
yeah.
So it's not like it had like a sellout performance.
There were a total of 4 of us in technically the second row.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
Yep.
So it was very
One guy counts as 3. So 7.
yeah. That fat fuck to our left. Yes.
That guy was huge.
I smelt him
That
for
was-
a majority of the movie, and then I unfortunately got used to it.
Yeah. So it was bad. But yeah, so all in all to say that this movie, I think the critics are being super soft. I'm convinced that the 85% is fake. Because when you come down to the critics
Like, okay, so Gary from New Rock, he said this is it's dog shit, but it's still better than Rings of Power.
I've
Would you
heard
say that?
I've heard that too. Rings of Power,
I mean, this is more, even though it's not faithful really at all to the source material, it's still technically more faithful to
I
the
made
source material than
the
Rings of Power.
first time I sat through Rings of Power, first time I sat down to watch it, I made it 20 minutes in.
Okay.
I watched 2.5 hours of this.
I wanted to leave at minute 15.
Yeah, fair.
No, like there was a point where it's like you have a choice, and I was like, can I choose to leave right now?
But let's read the first couple of we're not going to read every critic review, but let's just read the first one. So, on critics review, Rotten Tomatoes, Zachary Lee
From RogerEbert.com. How the fuck did you get that job?
Ooh,
Anyway,
what?
Roger Ebert. He's a
I didn't.
a famous critic.
Yep, I see it. Worse art has been made in the name of studio trying to retain rights to a franchise, but it's hard to remember the last time a project embodied its company's marching orders so blatantly. Oof, that's well said.
Yeah, I concur.
Dylan Roth from The Observer. This anime feature is mostly wrought medieval fantasy. Is it rote? ROTE. Mostly.
I don't think I've ever even seen that.
Mostly wrote medieval fantasy that doesn't have widespread appeal of Peter Jackson's trilogy. I don't.
That is so like. Just why did you even take the 2 minutes to even write the review? Is so bland.
It's a good single sentence, I suppose. Daily Beast. Nick Shager. Only receiving a multiplex release because Warner Brothers had to do so in order to maintain the franchise theatrical rights. It's inconsequential and hackneyed to the point of being forgettable. Yeah, this is just absolute dog shit. There are, like, I guess there's one fresh.
Go back one.
Didn't you want to see the fresh ones? Do you want to see another?
The prequel to the Oscar-winning Lord of the Rings trilogy falls very short of expectations. Anime is a worthy new format of Lord of the Rings. Anime could do a lot of things with a lot of franchises, but this one sucked dick.
Yeah, it was bad.
But the movie's visuals are sometimes sloppy, and too many characters have bland personalities.
That's probably the best
Sloppy
one so
is kindest way to put it.
Well, because it's definitely talking about this. Definitely doesn't even bring up the licensing issue. It's just talking about the movie, which I appreciate more. Let's check out two of the positive reviews. One could argue there's no real creative reason for War of the Rohirrim, but for those who have stayed invested in Tolkien's imagination, perhaps thrills and comfort food fantasy awaits.
It would have if you adapted the actual story.
Yeah, this reeks of someone who didn't watch it.
Or doesn't know the original.
Yeah. Damon Fudge, KCCI, The War of the Rohirrim is gorgeously animated spectacle worthy of the name Tolkien. It is back.
This dude didn't watch the movie. He just watched the backgrounds.
Yeah, he didn't watch the movie.
He was watching the backgrounds the entire time.
First off, it's not worthy of Tolkien in any context. That's just an irredeemably stupid sentence. War of the Rohirrim, gorgeously animated is the issue. The animation was
gorgeously drawn.
Yeah, it's gorgeously drawn. The animation was choppy and bad. It wasn't good animation. It
was awkward as fuck.
You could tell these people are just fucking liars. Let's go to the audience score and just see what some of the sentiment is from these 5 stars here.
Oh yeah, that's fuck.
All right, Robert Q, audience review. Kept to the storyline and mythos enough to be an enjoyable experience. It checked the boxes at a minimum degree, and
then killed the other boxes.
Yeah, it like butchered. I mean, whatever. Go enjoy your film. Doug says movie was acted well, gorgeous to watch, fantastic music and sound design, and my only slight complaint was the story was simple but very enjoyable.
Everything about 5 out of 5. Okay, yeah, these people that are rating it, like,
I saw it 5 out of 5. Yeah,
I know everyone's 5 out of 5. That is a perfect movie.
Yeah, that's a perfect.
You can't rate it that way.
No. Yeah, honestly, and we don't have to keep going into the 5 stars. I'd like to see if anyone.
Janky animation, terrible plot, script, and dialogue are laughable. 2 out of 5. I like it.
Thank you, KLR. Well said, sir. And this is just a summary. He's got a full review here.
I
thought that was a summary. I misread this. Guys, we're gonna summarize it here. Guys, the movie was absolutely horrible. If you are a fan and love Tolkien's work, the professor's work, you're gonna find a couple of things in here that were technically true, but it's completely buried under this mountain of just bad filmmaking.
Coming out of the movie, I said it was the most fan fiction I've ever seen on screen before.
I think the animation was worth an attempt, and I think it still could be in Tolkien's universe.
If you add 20 frames in between each frame.
Exactly. This movie is jittery. It's poorly done. The script and the dialogue are horrible. and there's no redeeming qualities in this film. Like, if you go there and you enjoy it, let us know in the comments. Tell us where we're wrong. Tell us if it isn't jittery. Tell us if the dialogue isn't bad.
No, don't tell us where we're wrong. Convince me that I'm wrong.
Yeah,
at some point.
just give us an argument for it. But I would have to say that the fact they kept name dropping shit over and over again, and because
Christopher Lee is in this too as Saruman. I forgot about that.
Yep,
He
his
spoke
deleted
3
scene.
words
His deleted scene from
The Hobbit or something. They just use that.
Yeah, so it's let's end on this, that with the name dropping and everything, you have Hera near the end of the film saying, "This place is now called Helm's Deep in name of my father."
Skywalker moment.
Well, and we sat there and we both went and like, "Oh my god, they said the thing.
It has a new name now. People call it
The people have spoken."
Helm's Deep. What does the deep mean? I don't know.
You could tell they thought the audience was gonna fucking jizz themselves over that moment.
Oh my god, she said it.
She said the thing.